Hey guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in to the Be Real About It podcast. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to hit the thumbs up button. Please like, subscribe, share on all social media platforms. Thank you, man. What's going on, beautiful people? My name is Alex Fabian, and I want to thank you guys for attending the Be Real About It podcast. Yeah, right? Now, this is episode 2. Just a quick little recap. In episode 1, we spoke about COVID-19s and ways in which we can get healthy, starting off the new year right, eating better, getting more sleep, taking longer walks and things of that nature. So if you haven't checked out episode 1, please go check out episode 1. It was a dope episode. I had my nutritionist Helena on, and Helena was awesome. She broke down ways in which we can get healthier, how we can stay healthier, and it was a dope episode, all right? So go check that out. But in episode 2, we're going to talk about COVID and the vaccines. The reason why we're diving deep into these type of issues is because it's a prevalent issue right now that's happening in our communities. It's all over the news. And what I want to know is, are you in favor of the shot of the vaccines, or are you not, right? That's the big question. Are you going to take the vaccine, and are you not going to take the vaccine, all right? So, and the reason why I want to bring this up, like I said, it's an important issue, but at the same time, I think that people have mixed emotions about what's going on, especially in our community, right? Especially in terms of what's going on right now. People are still hesitant about COVID-19 and the vaccines. They don't know which way to go in, because there's a lot of, like I said, there's always a lot of information out there, but people don't know which way to go, right? So here at Be Real About It podcast, I want to dive deep into the issue of the vaccines. Now, just a full quick disclaimer, right? Because this is such a touchy subject, right? I am not gonna tell you what to do or what not to do, right? That is not my job. Personally, what I want to do is have you informed in terms of the decisions that you and or your family could potentially make when it comes down to the vaccine, right? In part, there's actually going to be a part 1 and a part 2 aspect of this podcast, right? Of this show today. So I'm doing the part 1, which is going to be a quick video on whether or not you should take the vaccine. And then in part 2, we're going to talk about, I'm going to have some really good people on in terms of, I have some nurses and things of that nature that are going to talk about why they took the vaccine. And then I'm going to have some people on the other end that's probably going to say, you know what, I don't want to take the vaccine, or here's the reasons why I don't want to take the vaccine. All right, so you're going to have both sides, and it's ultimately it's going to be completely up to you, and we're going to see where it goes from there, right? Because honestly, you want to be informed, and you want to make the best decision for yourself and for your family. So that is honestly where we're heading at. Like I said, this is part 1 of the show, and we're having part 2 of the show next week, which is going to be a dope show. So please, always, check in. I always check in on my IG, especially when it comes down to this. So let's get started. Let's jump right into it, man. Why not? Let's jump right into it. All right. Are y'all ready? So let's go. This is part 1, where we talk about being vaccinated, right? Where we talk about the actual vaccine, right? A lot of people don't know that vaccines take some time to make. From my research, it says that it takes anywhere from 7 to 12 years. There have been other vaccines that took lesser time to formulate or to make, which I believe was mumps, which took about 4.5 years. So when it comes down to this COVID-19 and this vaccine, it has taken us about 9.5, almost 10 months to make the vaccine. Now, how do you feel about that? Do you trust that? I'm just asking. I don't know if you do, or if I'm just asking. Do you feel safe just with that question alone, right? Something that took 10.5 9.5 months to make, less than a year. Let's just say less than a year. Do you feel comfortable with that? Right? If vaccines normally take 7 to 12 years to actually make and to make sure it goes through the right stages and things of that nature, do you feel comfortable with that? That's a question that that might be asked. Do you feel comfortable with that? Also, when it comes down to vaccines, right? There has been a lot of negative publicity. There's been a lot of things written about vaccines. There's been just a lot of stuff, especially from companies, from pharmaceutical companies out there and things of that nature, that in the past has not been the best for us, right? Because they have such a negative history of doing so much negative things to a lot of people throughout the world. So a lot of people, they necessarily don't trust vaccines because of the negative side effects that it might have on people like us or just people in general, right? So they're worried. They're worried about that. That's a good question to bring up, and that's another good question to have. When we speak to the medical professionals and things of that nature, is what do you think about these type of questions, or what do you think about these type of vaccines? One of the things about this vaccine, about this COVID vaccine, that a lot of people aren't talking about is one of the words that is supposed to go with vaccine that they don't really mention, and it's kind of alarming why they don't mention it, right? So the first word is called experimental, right? It's a experimental vaccine, meaning that they're still experimenting the vaccine. Now, I graduated from college, right? I did, but we don't know everything. I don't know everything when it comes down to these words and all this other stuff, right? So I had to look up the word experimental because I just wanted to know the definition of experimental. And the definition of experimental is a new invention or product based on untested ideas or techniques and not yet established or finalized. Quote, end quote. I'm just going to repeat that one more time for people who didn't get it, right? Experimental, the definition of it, means of a new invention or product based on untested ideas or techniques and not yet established or finalized. That is the definition of experimental. If you don't believe me, look it up. Right? I pose the question again. Do any of you guys feel comfortable with taking an experimental vaccine that has not been established or finalized yet? I'm just posing the question. I'm not saying yay or nay to take the vaccine or not to take the vaccine. I'm just saying. That's what the word is when it comes down to this vaccine. It's an experimental vaccine, right? So I just want to know. Again, these are questions for part 2. These are questions in which I'm going to ask in part 2, in which we talk to these medical professionals about, this term and things of that nature. So why not be real about what's going on? That's the whole reason for the podcast, is to be real about it, right? So this is a good question to pose, right? Another thing that sparks my mind when it comes down to this vaccine is, how if you look on the TV, right, and I don't care if it's like Xarelto or Advair or whatever the case is, some pharmaceutical drug that they're offering, right? You know how at the end of the commercial you have the guy who speaks all fast? This may cause bloating, heart attack, Down syndrome, whatever it may be. I call those nutritional facts, right? I'm like, where is the nutritional facts of anything that I take. It doesn't even matter what I need to see the list of nutritional facts, right? That's what I think. And for some reason, they're not telling me what the nutritional facts on this vaccine is. And I want to know what the nutritional facts, like what's it made out of. Most importantly, what are the side effects? Like, these are things that I would want to know before you take an experimental vaccine. Like, these are great questions to ask. Now, again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't take it, because at the end of the day, there are some people who necessarily have to take it. There are some people who would choose not to take it, but it's completely up to you at the end of the day. Like I said, we're just providing the information. Now, I know a lot of people out there, they kind of are obligated to take the vaccine. It doesn't matter if you're a working professional who's like a doctor or a nurse or in the medical field, or someone who, has to take the vaccine, like the president or a senator and things of that nature, people of Congress, representatives and things of that nature. So they're taking the vaccine to pretty much show that this vaccine is pretty safe for people to take. Now, it's completely up to them if they wanted to do such a thing, right? A lot of people are doing that type of thing, like Joe Biden and AOC. They actually did take the vaccine and they're fine, right? But what I want to talk about when it comes down to the vaccine, right, is how is it that we're able to get a vaccine for something so fast, right? In less than 10 months, let's even say in less than a year, right? How are we able to actually get this vaccine and actually be produced in mass quantities so fast? Where in other cases, vaccines have taken so long to take. As we stated before, the mumps took 4.5 years to make. Vaccines usually take 7 to 12 years to make, right? So, being that this is a special circumstance in which we all understand, COVID is a special circumstance. We've never had a pandemic like this before in modern times, like right now. So that's why people are definitely nervous. They're definitely worried about, getting back to normal and things of nature, which is completely understandable. So I'm not saying that, the reason why they got this vaccine is not justifiable, right? Because a lot of people want to get back to normal. They don't want to stay at home anymore. They don't want to, not be able to go to work. They want to see their families again. They want people to get better overall. So the means of it is understandable. But are there repercussions for actually having the vaccine so fast? That is the question. That's one of the things that I want to talk about when it comes down to these healthcare professionals is, are they nervous for the fact that it's still a brand new vaccine, and are they worried about future problems that they might have to deal with that we don't know now? Right, and that's one of the questions that that we're gonna ask next week when it comes down to it, and we're gonna see how it goes from there. All right, guys. I want to thank you guys so much for attending episode 2 of the Be Real About It podcast. This is part 1 of the vaccinations, of the COVID-19 vaccinations, whether or not to take the actual vaccine. Next week, like I said, we're gonna have part 2 of it, where we're gonna have people actually call in and find out, whether they'll take the vaccine, whether they're not take the vaccine, and we're gonna have a debate on that. All right. So until next time, I see you guys part 2 next week. All right. Take it easy, man. Let's go. Episode 2. Let's go.